A DraftKings employee is accused of taking part in a college basketball betting scheme is now facing felony charges in the Valley. Samuel Silverman was arrested back in May at the BetMGM sportsbook on the Strip. Investigators say Silverman, a DraftKings sports trader and former Fresno State men's basketball team manager, helped place under prop bets on a Fresno State player's stats during a game last January. Investigators allege the player intentionally underperformed so friends could cash in, turning about $2,200 in wagers into roughly $16,000. Silverman is charged with committing fraud in a gaming establishment, conspiring to cheat at gambling, and conspiracy to launder money. He posted bail and is due back in court next month. Now, in a statement to Fox 5, a spokesperson said DraftKings takes the integrity of sports and sports betting with utmost seriousness. The alleged activity at issue did not occur on DraftKings' platform, and the individuals involved are no longer employed by the company.